Come here, you free citizen of the world, whose life is safeguarded by human morality and whose existence is guaranteed through law. I want to tell you how modern criminals and common bandits have betrayed the morality of life and nullified the postulates of existence. Zalman Gradowski, The Prison of Sonderkommando, Birkenau. Karl Auschwitz was a German Nazi concentration camp established in May of 1940. The camp was modeled to be similar to the already existing concentration camps built across Germany in the 30s, and at the first it was to be a place of seclusion for Polish political prisoners. The first group of Polish political prisoners was sent to Auschwitz on June 14, 1940. The first years were marked with inhumane work conditions over the constantly developed camp structures and brutality of the overseeing perpetrators who created a very lethal camp system based on perpetuation of terror. From the very beginning of its existence, Auschwitz was to pursue a policy of gradual colonization of the former Polish land, and it became the slave labor base for German industry. Already in September 1941, the first successful attempt of using the disinfection gas, Cyclone B, against human beings was conducted at Auschwitz I. It was tested against 600 of Soviet POWs and 250 Polish political prisoners. This was the next organizational step towards genocide. In 1941, the radicalization of language, law and ideology of the Third Reich led the German state, its politicians and society into the organized murder of European Jews, a practice hidden behind a euphemism called final solution of the Jewish question. This decision was sealed during the Wannsee Conference held in January 20, 1942. From 1942, after completion of the second part of the camp complex called Auschwitz-Birkenau in the nearby village of Brzezinka, its function changed into becoming both concentration camp for slave labor and mass extermination camp for mostly European Jewish communities. The complex of Auschwitz camps at its peak of development was made out of 48 subcamps holding and abusing the slave labor of over 100,000 of inmates. From spring of 1942, Jews were making most of the deportees. Close to the 80% of people from those transports were never registered upon arrival to become the Auschwitz inmates. Immediately after arrival, they underwent selection by a camp physician into the group of people who are economically useless and directed from the arrival platform into the gas chambers at the back of Auschwitz-Birkenau. So here we are standing at the ruins of crematorium gas chamber number 2. The largest facility of this kind ever built by humanity. Facility which was built with one particular purpose. The purpose to kill and to deny that this murder had happened. The Holocaust was not only about murdering the people. The Holocaust was about a complete annihilation of their culture, complete destruction of any traces that they ever existed, obliteration of cemeteries, but even beyond that, making sure that there are no corpses left. Corpses are evidence. Within close to 5 years of existence of Auschwitz-Birkenau camp, there were close to 1,300,000 children, women and men, mainly Jews from all over Europe, murdered there. The camp was liberated by the Soviet army on the 27th of January 1945. Roza Robota, as a young girl in Ciechanów, grew up in the spirit of scouting and Zionist ideas of Hashomer Hatzair, ideals of work and education on the path of the planned emigration to Palestine. During the German occupation, Roza witnessed the organized action of destroying the Jewish past of her city and the extermination of its inhabitants. The subsequent organized stages of financial contributions, forced labor, dehumanization, demolition of synagogue, plowing a cemetery, and establishing a ghetto formed a planned and repeated pattern in thousands of towns of former Poland. In November 1942, Roza was deported to Auschwitz. Her response to organized violence was to organize contact and interact with other prisoners in the camp resistance group. In 1944, Roza became involved in smuggling gunpowder from the Union Worker factory into the hands of Sonderkommando prisoners working in the crematoria and gas chambers in Auschwitz-Birkenau. These prisoners were preparing for a revolt. The revolt was launched on October 7, 1944. None of its organizers survived, but the memory of this event and the words of its organizers written on the scraps of paper buried in the ground did survive for posterity. Roza, as one of the suspects of the revolt organization, was tortured and interrogated by the SS in the camp prison. She was murdered along with 3 other female prisoners in the last public execution in Auschwitz on January 6, 1945.